I'm Kelly Brucker, Tech Elevator's lead career coach. Our team is really excited to have an opportunity to give back to our community during this crazy time we're currently in. On a daily basis at Tech Elevator, our amazing team of career coaches are helping our students by better preparing them for their next career after they leave us. And now we're really excited to have an opportunity to share those best practices and tips with you guys out there. Listen, I get it. It is a crazy time right now. There are quite a few things that are well beyond our control. For example, when we'll get to see a lot of our loved ones and our friends again. But there's one thing that's well within your control, and that is the things that you decide to do right now to better prepare you for your career. So let us help. We'll help you prepare. We'll give you all of the best tips, tricks, and tools that we usually share with our students. And we'll even give you an opportunity to engage with us and ask anything you want. So let's get started. Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Brucker, Tech Elevator's lead career coach. I'm really excited to continue to bring you all some best practices, tips, tricks, and tools around landing your next job. Today, I want to focus on remote interviews. Because if you're currently in the job hunt, it won't be long until you have to be an expert on nailing every single one of these remote interviews. So let's jump into some tips right now. So I want to break this up into 3 different sections. Let's start with preparation. For any interview, preparation is key. Whether it's a phone interview, on-site, a technical interview, or in this case, a remote interview. You should never go into an interview without doing some level of preparation and research. So regardless of what kind of interview it is, always making sure that you're researching the company, researching the people that you're interviewing with, and knowing the job description that you're interviewing for, front and back. And don't forget to get really familiar with your resume. But for remote interviews, there are a few extra steps you have to take. For example, one of the most important things you should be doing is testing the technology you're using. So the recruiter or HR manager, whoever is setting up the interview, should be giving you some notice on what software they're using. Whether it's Zoom, Google Hangouts, GoTo, or a different software. You need to become familiar with this well before your interview. This means downloading the software, testing your video, testing your audio, and making sure you're completely comfortable using it. And by testing it out before, I don't mean hopping on 15 or 20 minutes before your interview and giving it a whirl. You should be testing this out at least 1 or 2 days beforehand. So again, download that software, give one of your friends or family members a call, ask if they can hop on the other end. They don't even have to do anything. They literally just need to sit on the other end, give you some time to play around with it, and make sure that your audio and video are good to go. If you're not prepared and you have technical difficulties, that could have an impact on the time you get with your interview. You don't want to spend 15 minutes of a 30-minute interview having technical glitches. So once you've tested your tech, take a look at your surroundings. Make sure that wherever you decide to take this interview is in a quiet space in your house. It is organized, it is clean, and there is no clutter. So take a look around you. Make sure there are no kids' toys, pet toys, or laundry lying around. If so, move it somewhere else. I'm not saying you have to clean your entire house before your interview, but I am saying you should make sure you're in a clean and organized space before your interview. Also, check the lighting where you are. The best place to take an interview is going to be somewhere with a lot of windows, open spaces with a lot of that good natural lighting. If you don't have a space like that in your house, just make sure you have a lot of artificial lighting, whether it's lamps, ceiling lights, whatever it is. You want to make sure that they can see you. And here's a tip. Make sure that there is not a big window behind you. Because if there's a window behind you and the sun is out, you're going to be completely backlit and look like a shadow. And if you have kids or other people in the house or even animals and pets, make sure that they are preoccupied during the interview so the dogs don't start barking and the kids don't start crying while your interview is going on. Just another distraction that you really want to avoid. So the last part of preparation is your appearance. Just because it is not an on-site interview doesn't mean you don't have to dress up. You should dress just as you would for an on site interview. So, guys, that means suit and tie, or at the very least, a nice button up tie or even a polo is okay. Ladies, a nice blouse, blazer, dress. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward. Guys, make sure your facial hair is groomed, trimmed, and well kept. And I understand this isn't a great time for a fresh haircut since most salons are currently closed, but make sure your hair is pulled out of your face. Jewelry and makeup is kept to a minimum as well. All right, so now let's talk about best practices for during the interview. The great thing about remote interviews is you can have a resume, a notebook, and whatever you need to on your desk in front of you. But here's the trick, you want to make sure that you're not staring at it the entire time. You want to make sure that your eyes are on the screen because even though they're not sitting directly in front of you, eye contact is still very important in remote interviews. So you can have your resume in front of you, and it's okay to glance at it if you need to. Have a notebook because you'll definitely want to take notes during the interview. And you can even have a list of questions that you want to ask the interview at the end. If you're not talking, make sure to mute yourself just in case there's any background noise, street noise, or anything like that. And remember how I was talking about eye contact 2 seconds ago? Something else that's really important as far as nonverbals, having a nice, big, natural smile. It doesn't have to be fake. Just keep it simple. Smile as you talk because it's going to really open yourself up to the interviewer. When you're answering questions, answer confidently. End with a period and don't end with a question mark because if you're ending with a question mark, it's going to make the interviewer question your confidence. Make sure you're speaking clearly and enunciate everything you're saying. Make sure you're also speaking nice and slow and not too fast. And when it comes time to ask questions, make sure you end the interview by asking them about next steps and their timeline. Their timeline might be that it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks until they get back to you. And it's better to know this before you end the interview than to not, because then you're stuck wondering, gee, what did I do wrong? Why haven't they got back to me for an entire month before they finally do get back to you? So once you end that interview, make sure that you send a follow-up within a few hours. Normally, I would say send a follow-up within 24 hours, but since you're going to be at home, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to send a nice thank you letter as soon as you end that interview. Keep this thank you note short, sweet, and to the point. Don't make it generic though either. Highlight something specific that you guys talked about during the interview that really stood out to you. Make sure they know that you're excited about the opportunity and you really appreciate the time that they took to talk with you today. And this is the great thing about thank you notes. If you didn't get a chance to ask something in the interview, this is your opportunity to include it. Include any questions that you have that you didn't get a chance to ask during the interview at the end of your thank you note. And now it's the hardest part, waiting. Like I said, it could be a few days, could be a few weeks, or even a month or more before they get back to you. But being patient is very important. Try your best not to send the interviewer emails every day to follow up. That's going to become really annoying. It is okay to say once a week or every other week, send a quick follow-up. But if they respond and tell you that it's going to be a few more weeks, please wait a few more weeks and respect their time. So now it's your turn to go out there and put these tips and tricks to the test to nail every single one of those remote interviews.